Now, Gauteng's Education MEC says all grade 1 and 8 pupils who applied online for the 2022 school year have now been placed. A total of 347,216 applications were received. The department adds that it also received over 25,000 applications since it opened late submissions on the 12th of January this year. For more on this, the department spokesperson Steve Mabona joins us via Zoom. Mr. Mabona, thank you very much for your time. Now, we understand that you have finally placed all grade 1 and 8 pupils who applied online. Can you just take us through those statistics?
Good afternoon, Nomfundo, and to all our viewers. Yes, indeed, we can confirm that we have placed all the grade 1 and grade 8 learners who applied through the online system, which we are quite happy about the progress, because as like you already indicated, over 300,000 of those that have been placed. You also have the late registration, which we opened on the 12th of January. I mean, about 25,000 of people that might have came and said we don't have space, we are from other provinces, or we forgot to apply. All those other reasons, we managed to accommodate them. And we also have those that would have appealed, 1,400 of those, and can confirm that 71. We then said to them, we actually agree to what they would have raised, which had merit, and we gave them schools according to the admission regulations. And we also said to the about 1,300, we cannot agree with what you are saying, and we gave them the alternative schools. So the issue that this system is not working, the system works very well. The challenge that we have is capacity, and we have, mitigating factors that we can use to actually augment on the number of classes that we need to augment.
So when are you looking to do that? Because yes, it's commendable. You finally placed all of them. But like you say, it was not without tears. We sent our reporters out. Parents were shattered when their children couldn't be admitted to schools where they said, you know what, this school is in close proximity to our home. I cannot afford to be taking my kids elsewhere. So when we speak capacity, when can this be addressed?
Well, you might have seen last week we launched one school in Randburg where they built classes for us. They gave us 8 classes, and we will continue with that process because we transferred over 240 million rand to different schools for them to start with the process of building extra classes, while we will also be building schools utilizing a different mechanism that is not using Department of Infrastructure, but then they will also continue parallel to our process to build schools. Meanwhile, we fast-track the process of building schools, especially in the high-pressure areas, because we know which areas are those that need those schools that we really need to build. So once we do that, then we are sure that we're not going to be sitting with the same problem next year. But we need to caution that the issue where we have a space of about 350 in a school and we have about 2,000 applications, we're still going to have those that will be aggrieved because we're not going to be in a position to accommodate, like for instance, 1,500 grade 8 or grade 1 in a school.
No, fair enough. But when we speak of the issues that make them all gravitate towards one school or area, is it really just proximity or even infrastructure, that there would be better infrastructure there, the ethos of the school, which would be a concern then for the department that you should have uniformity? All of the schools should be schools that parents prefer. So are you looking to perhaps capacitate some of those schools with a modern infrastructure so you don't have all parents wrestling to a particular school that seems to be that model school that everybody wants?
No, we are doing that. I mean, if you check on what we are doing with the quality of education that we deliver in Gauteng, we are launching what we call schools of specialization. We have launched actually 16 of those in different disciplines. And we are going to launch about 12 this year. So that will then give you an indication that at least parents will be in a position to choose. But the improvement that we are engaging in especially in township education or township schools, we've made inroads there. There's changed so much. I mean, there's schools that are in the township that are giving us 100% or over, 98 or even over 90%. And when you compare those schools, there are those that would have been the Model C or former Model C schools that you are referring to, because parents would have seen probably a uniform or, better English. They will then think that probably there's quality education there. But if you ask people that are taught in a certain school, they will be in a position to give you detailed information on the quality of education in that school, or even visit the school and check with the principal to say, how are you teaching here? And in terms of your grade 12s, how are you doing in terms of the percentage on your pass rate? So you will then see that there's a huge improvement that we have actually invested in the township schools. And, people need to get that information so that they then take their children in those schools.
And then insofar as educators are concerned, are you seeing a swap where even perhaps your white counterpart colleagues are willing to go and teach at some of these schools? And it's not to say that black or white are preferred or better at teaching, but nevertheless, are you seeing many showing that interest in going to some of these locations and teaching there?
Look, you will remember that our educators are trained from the same pot. They are the educators. So that's why we will normally take umbrage when people say in a certain school they are not teaching. Meanwhile, they don't have any scientific report which will suggest that they are not teaching in a school. So according to what we have, our teachers are teaching. Like when you look at our results for 2020, you will see that there were only 2 schools that did bad in education, under 30%. And we adopted those schools to say, let's, assist them, let's make sure that they improve. And at least they improved, but we still think that they can still do better for, 2022. So we'll be monitoring them very closely. So, yes, indeed. I mean, our school of specialization in Katlehong, the principal there is a white person, and there are educators there that are white as well. So it's not about a race. It's about the quality of education that people are capable to provide. So a school that is well managed, anyone will want to go there. That's why we normally caution communities to say, don't disrupt schooling. Don't make a school to be ungovernable, because the future of our children will then be derailed. I mean, there's a school in Lotus. We are now 2 weeks without a proper teaching and learning. And the educators there and some parents are instigating learners to not to want to continue to be in a classroom. Meanwhile, we have acceded to their call to say, yes, we know that infrastructure, we have problems there. We will be attending to those. Then there's interim mechanism that we're going to be implementing there to make sure that we fix what we're supposed to be fixing. And we're going to be building extra classes at that school. But people are instigating learners not to be in the classroom. And we are saying, if you do that, you are actually shortchanging those children, because that's where you will sit with the 30% pass rate, at the end of the year. Meanwhile, we are looking for over 98 or even 100%, and so that's what we are gunning for. So we want to caution parents not to disrupt schooling, because once you disrupt schooling, then the results will then be negative.
Steve, don't start trouble with the 30%. We've heard quite a lot from the Department of Education insofar as that is concerned.
But no, I'm not talking about the 30% mark. I'm talking about the 30%
pass rate.
Overall school. rate.
And then insofar as resources though are concerned, I mean, a lot of South Africans' hopes are riding on the department getting enough budget to have those other schools. Everything is becoming unaffordable. So for many parents, they would prefer to take their children through to public schools. Insofar as funding is concerned, are you speaking to government to get as much funding as you can for this build project?
Look, that's why we said let's implement a different mechanism on how we're going to be building classes and making sure that we build more schools. Because yes, indeed, many parents are coming to us because they cannot afford the private schooling. They want to come to us. So we need to be in a position to accommodate. So we think that by building in a different way, we should be in a position to alleviate that pressure. Yes, in terms of budget, we will always not be having enough because, remember, the Department of Health must also get their fair share and all other departments must also get what must be allocated to them. But we need to then utilize what we have fruitfully, make sure that we improve as far as building more schools as fast as possible.
Now, Steve, before we close, I can't let you go without asking about the safety concern. It's clearly a big issue now. We listened to the MEC speaking about this matter at the funeral of the deputy principal. Just talk to me about how you guys are looking to address this. Again, resources are a problem. We heard that you guys are looking at metal detectors. Is this viable?
No, we said the issue of metal detectors might be a challenge for us. We'll not be in a position to buy those and put in our schools. But we are actually working very closely with the police, the community safety, the patrollers that are in our schools, your CPF, just to make sure that they safeguard our schools, including the municipalities, because they have a police department or safety department there. And in some of these municipalities, they actually undertook to adopt some of our schools where we know that we have problems, so that in the event of anything, there's swiftness in terms of response and the perpetrators might then be arrested. So that's what we are relying on. And we have good policies when coming to safety or school safety. We must just make sure that we implement those, all those police that are responsible to make sure that we have a safe environment. We'll just make sure that we continue with that process.